Coming up, an arson investigation is underway after a suspicious fire at an area church. Overloaded power grids lead to power outages in the FM Metro. How soaring temperatures played a factor. And hundreds of locations will soon open across Minnesota to offer COVID-19 shots to children under the age of 5. Hello and welcome to the Nightly Review. I'm Tom Tucker. We begin with a look at tonight's headlines, then a closer look, with a call for help tonight from a local blood bank as the nationwide blood shortage continues. And in the one-on-one conversation, how and why the state of North Dakota is looking for feedback on efforts aimed at preventing drug and alcohol abuse. But first tonight, an arson investigation is underway at a Fargo area church. The interior of the historic Maple Cheyenne Lutheran Church near Harwood was damaged by fire last week. Investigators say a propane tank was found outside the church next to the National Veterans Cemetery. There was charring on the siding of the exterior of the church building. Several local, state, and federal agencies are now investigating. The Fargo Police Department is investigating a shooting at a Southside hotel. Investigators say it happened around 11 o'clock Saturday night at the Travel Lodge off 35th Street South near the West Acres Mall. No injuries are reported, and police have not yet identified a suspect in the case. A Fargo man is in critical condition after crashing his motorcycle early Sunday morning. The State Highway Patrol says 30-year-old Luke Schmitz was riding his motorcycle westbound near the 2600 block of 5th Avenue South when he drove off the roadway, struck the curb, and fell off the motorcycle. Schmitz was taken to Sanford Health. He was not wearing a helmet at the time of the crash. There's no word yet on whether alcohol or drugs played a factor in the accident. A trio of power outages knocked the lights out for some people living in South Fargo throughout the day Sunday. Cass County Electric says the outages happened in neighborhoods near Davies High School and around Cheyenne Street and 40th Avenue South. We're told the outages lasted roughly an hour, in some cases 2 hours, and were caused by an overload on grids in the area thanks to increased appliance usage and excessive heat. Jim Jonas says he's looking forward to serving as a new state representative for West Fargo District 13.
I'll bring a fresh perspective to Bismarck, some new energy. I'm going to work hard to ensure that the people of West Fargo and the citizens of the metro area in North Dakota have opportunities to succeed.
Jim Jonas will represent the district along with incumbent Austin Schauer, who won re-election. In order to focus on his new responsibilities in Bismarck, Jonas says he'll resign from his position as president of the West Fargo School Board in July. He'll continue to serve on the board, but only as a regular member. A new survey from the personal finance website Wallet Hub shows North Dakota is among the most patriotic states in the country. The study compared the 50 states across 13 key metrics, including each state's military enlistees and veterans, and the share of adults who voted in the 2020 election. North Dakota ranked first in active duty military personnel per 100,000 civilian adults, and first in educational requirements for U.S. history and civics. Well, sites across Minnesota are set to begin offering COVID-19 shots to children 6 months old to 5 years of age. This following approval by the CDC and the FDA. The FDA gave the green light to the Pfizer and Moderna jabs for that age group. The CDC followed with its approval on Saturday. A network of more than 400 locations is now being set up across Minnesota to offer the shots. The Department of Justice says another Minnesotan is facing charges in connection with the demonstration at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Officials say Frank Bratjan Jr. is charged with 4 criminal counts related to entering, protesting, and remaining in a restricted building, as well as disorderly conduct. Bratjan is a postal worker from Eagan and allegedly broke into the Capitol and took a selfie and texted it to his mother. In South Dakota, some of Governor Kristi Noem's staffers are switching to working on her re-election campaign. Spokesman Ian Fury is taking a leave of absence as a state employee to take on duties with the Noem campaign. Director of Operations for the governor's office, Ben Koisty, is also shifting to the re-election campaign. And the city of Sturgis, South Dakota is preparing for the 82nd annual motorcycle rally. Last year's rally brought in hundreds of thousands of visitors to the small town, where businesses depend on the event for much of their annual revenue. Rally Director Tammy Even Cordell says gas prices are a challenge for rally goers this year, but the committee has expected bigger numbers despite some cancellations. This year's rally runs from August 5th through the 14th. In a closer look tonight, as the nationwide blood shortage continues, an FM area blood donation network is asking for donors to help save lives. And they're asking for donors to come in on a regular basis.
As long as we're seeing people come in on a regular basis throughout the next couple of weeks, we should be good. Sometimes we have this happen where we put a plea out there and people come rushing in right away, and then we cause a problem a little bit down the road because we've used all our donors.
Vitalant Regional Director Jennifer Bradall told WDAY's Bonnie and Friends that only about 5% of the adult population donates blood. She also says this year, overall donations are down 12% compared to the same time period last year. Bradall says every blood type is needed, but also says there's a critical need for O-type blood.
37% of the population have O positive. You can give that to a large part of the population. O negative is the universal donor, 7% of the population, and that is used in all emergency trauma, preemie babies, etc., an emergency blood transfusion. That's the one that we're really short of right now.
Bradall says the Vitalant network of 120 blood donation centers around the country has collected about 13,000 fewer blood donations in April and May compared to the same time in 2021. Well, if you haven't done so already, please take a moment to subscribe and hit the bell button below to make sure you never miss an episode of the Nightly Review. So far, we have 65 subscribers, and the race is now on to hit that 100 mark. Well, hope you didn't have to spend too much time outside today in this unusually hot weather. Tonight, it's stormy weather that could cause some troubles. Meteorologist Justin Storm has the forecast from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Thanks, Tom. As we head through the remainder of this evening into tonight, before 1 a.m., we'll see a likely chance for some strong and severe thunderstorms, with the main concern being damaging wind and hail, although an isolated tornado could be possible. After that, just a slight chance for a few showers or a couple rumbles of thunder, with lows in the mid-60s and a west wind around 10 to 20, which will gust as high as 40 miles per hour out of the west on Tuesday, partly cloudy with highs in the lower 80s, and a slight chance for a couple isolated thunder showers through the afternoon and evening. Mostly sunny skies will return for your Wednesday, however, and high temperatures remain in the lower 80s with a southwest wind around 5 to 15.
It could happen to you or someone you love. One moment, one diagnosis can change everything. Thankfully, there's a program that helps caring people uplift families through a crisis. Lend a Hand Up, raising financial help and hope through community benefits and online campaigns. A program that boosts generosity so gifts go further. Lend a Hand Up helps you help your neighbors. Learn more and give at lendahandup.org.
Welcome back to the Nightly Review. The topic of the one-on-one conversation tonight is a survey now being performed by the State of North Dakota to gauge citizen perception about drug and alcohol use and abuse and efforts aimed at prevention. Survey results are used by the state to help determine policies at both the state and local level. Laura Anderson is the Assistant Director for the Behavioral Services Division. I asked her what important data the survey has revealed in the past.
One of the set of questions on this survey asks the adults who answer the questions about their perception of how easy it is for youth to access alcohol. And those questions come in, whether or not we perceive that it is easy or not easy for youth to access alcohol, say at a bar or a restaurant or at home or at a friend's house. And so it goes through some of those different options. And the thing that we've seen pretty consistently is that people perceive that it is easiest, of course, for youth to get alcohol at their own home or family members, or friends' homes. So basically those like social settings. And one of those that really does guide our work in looking at, what are the things that we can help to implement around, talking to parents and family members about, knowing where your alcohol is stored, talking to your children about, about alcohol use and the dangers of alcohol use, but also, their expectations and values as a family of, when alcohol use can, when they expect their children to begin using alcohol, if at all.
So do I understand correctly that the survey also covers illicit drug use? And if so, could you please elaborate on that?
Yeah, so the survey asks, those who respond to the survey, really their perception of how big of a problem drug and alcohol use is in their community. And the important thing about this survey is it's just perception. It's not actually measuring any actual usage rates. And so we ask, what is the perception of, say, alcohol use in your community, but also, like you mentioned, what is the perception of illicit drug use in your community? Do you perceive it as being a big problem or not? And we see, sometimes that can be different depending on the location or the profession that individuals are in. But that really gives us an idea to see even that discrepancy between what is actual usage looking like, and then what is the perception around usage, and then how can we better align those things.
Based on the last survey, what did it show in terms of perception versus reality when it comes to drug and alcohol use? And were perceptions accurate based on what the actual data showed?
Yeah, I would say there is still some disparity between perception and actual use. Oftentimes we will see among, alcohol use among adults, we may perceive, the general perception is that is not as big of a problem in the community. But then the data shows, that North Dakota adult binge alcohol use and consequences are fairly high compared to nationwide. So that's one area that we look at. Another is oftentimes people have the perception that illicit drug use is, a lot higher. Whereas in North Dakota specifically, we tend to see, especially when we compare to alcohol, illicit drug use is not very rampant in the state when we compare to other substances. And so those are some things that we see.
I'd like to thank Laura Anderson with the North Dakota Department of Behavioral Health for joining me for tonight's one-on-one conversation. The meal survey is a random sampling, and we're told it's anonymous. Well, that will do it for this Monday night, June 6th, 2022. I'm Tom Tucker. Thanks for watching the Nightly Review.